So, one thing that I've learned that the New York Giants fans are gonna do in all of my 30 plus years of being a New York Giants fan is that we're gonna disagree. You see the thumbnail. It's time to have a discussion because I see it in the comments. I see it during the mock drafts. I see it when I'm talking about, draft needs. And I don't understand how there's so much just difference in opinions of what the New York Giants need to do with the quarterback position. So I think we need to have a discussion, or I think I need to have a discussion, or at least share my side or my opinion with this situation. Coming from a guy that didn't like Daniel Jones to being one of the people that heavily supported Jones, and now I'm back on the side where I think we need a new quarterback. And I think some people just assume that I don't take into consideration all of the things happening around the team. Like, I understand that it's not all the quarterback's fault. I understand that. I understand that the offensive line, I've been one of the main people that talked about the offensive line. Last year, I was willing to take John Michael Schmitz at 25. I got into arguments about that. That's how much I did care about the offensive line. Like, I know what it is when it comes to the quarterback and what they go through and what they need to be able to function. But there is a certain limit to the grace that you give somebody. And this is just my opinion. There is a certain level of grace. Now, I believe prior to 2022, a lot of people were all on the same page where they were like, you know what? This is Daniel. We didn't pick up the 5th-year option. This is going to be Daniel Jones's last year. We need to start looking for a quarterback. I think that everybody was on that same page going into the 2022 season. 2022 happened, and New York Giants win a playoff game. Daniel Jones looked pretty good, looked fantastic in that playoff game versus the Minnesota Vikings. And I think that's where the divide began. I know that's when the divide began. For me, that's when I was like, you know what? Brian Dable coming from Buffalo. I saw what he did with Josh Allen. We just won a playoff game with Daniel Jones, even though we didn't have the numbers as far as the stats. Daniel Jones didn't have the stats, but we did have the wins. Let's go ahead and see what we can do with Daniel Jones. Let's go ahead and give this another shot. Now, at the same time, the price tag was not what I would have paid Daniel Jones, but I do understand why. Whether you agree with it or not, I do understand why they re-signed Daniel Jones. And I also understand why they did give themselves a 2-year out, because it wasn't enough. He didn't show quite enough. Yes, he had the playoff win, but it wasn't quite enough. We really didn't know if it was real or not. And 2023 ended up being that year where, yes, he got injured. Yes, the offensive line was hurt. But did you really see, when he wasn't there, did you really see what you needed to see? Outside of all the white noise around everything else, offensive line, weapons and stuff like that, we went and got weapons. You have to read through the tea leaves. Maybe it's clearer for other people, but for me, I look at certain situations in certain games where plays were not made. And for me, I'm like, is there still a chance that you can salvage Daniel Jones? And yes, there is still a chance mathematically. But how far are you willing to take it? Now, look, we have the draft coming up in about 2 weeks. A little bit over 2 weeks. And that's the main question for everybody. I just saw a clip of an interview, Pat Leonard with Adam Schefter, and Adam Schefter's saying his opinion. He's saying that, he doesn't think that the New York Giants are going to draft a quarterback at 6, but they might use a high draft pick to pick. What does that mean? We're either drafting a quarterback at 6 or we're not. We're waiting to 47. We're waiting to 70. Is that what we're doing? And you say, with the blue chip players, yes, Rome Odunze, yes, Malik Neighbors. If Marvin Harrison happens to be the guy, yes, I see that. But I also think about how I was fooled last year. We added more weapons. And what happened? Oh, but they're not the caliber of Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze. I understand that. But guess what? Darren Waller was open. We saw Darren Waller in some games, have heavy use. Arizona, heavy use. Miami, heavy use. The Bills game, heavy use. And that was two different quarterbacks in that situation. Like we saw what could have been. But it wasn't consistent enough. Now, is that consistency solely on the quarterback? Absolutely not. But I would say it's about 75 to 80% on the quarterback. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that this line is going to be a top 10 offensive line, top 15. There's no guarantee. We hope for that. But in the chance that it's not a top 10 or a top 15 offensive line, what do I expect Daniel Jones to be? Because we seen at Daniel Jones's best, he was middle of the pack. And for people that get mad at other people or other fans that want something better or feel like there's something better out there than Daniel Jones, I don't, the anger goes back and forth for the people that, want to keep Jones versus the people that don't want to keep Jones. It's all out there. It's all out there. And like I said, I can only speak for myself. I can only speak on what I've been hearing. But I get it from both sides. Pause. We're not drafting a quarterback. No way we're drafting a quarterback. We need to draft offensive line. I see it in the comments. I'm going to tell you guys right now. We're not drafting a left tackle at 6. We could talk that Joe Alt stuff. Fashanu, Fuaga, Fontenot. We could talk all that stuff. But no, just like we saw Evan Neal struggle when he moved from the left side to the right side. And when Evan Neal was coming out of Alabama, you can't tell me that he was not a higher prospect than Joe Alt, because he was. We have selective memory. And not saying that because Evan Neal so far has not been able to make that transition from left back to right. Not saying that Joe Alt can or Fashanu can. I'm just saying, do you really want to take that chance? And if you're going to give me the option between Joe Alt and Malik Neighbors or Harrison Jr. or Odunze, of course I'm going to wide receiver first, because I look and I see how deep this draft is as far as offensive line, especially in the first 2 rounds. And you can also get some gems in the 3rd or even possibly the 4th. There's some guys out there that you want to take a chance on, but that's not even really the point. When you went into the free agency and you signed a lot of offensive linemen, and not just a bunch of young guys, a bunch of veterans with a lot of starts under their belt. You can almost say that the right side is possibly solidified, because if Evan Neal doesn't work out at right tackle, guess who's going to be the right tackle? Jermaine Illuminor, and we've seen him have success. If Evan Neal does not succeed at right guard, we did make some signings as well. We have John Runyon, most likely going to be the left guard, but also a guard. We have Aaron Stinney, a Super Bowl winning guard. Not the best guard, but still has a lot of quality starts under. The offensive line, I believe, is fine right now. That you don't have to go and get an offensive tackle in the 1st or 2nd round. I think they've made enough moves that's not going to be the big target at 6. We already know at 6 is going to be either wide receiver or quarterback, depending on certain situations. And the other thing is this, people don't mind, people hate the idea of a quarterback, but don't mind if a certain quarterback is there. Because of what? Because that's who they believe in. And then they get mad when you might have a difference of opinion on, who you like as one of those top quarterbacks. Like for me, for instance, I think that Michael Penix is the second best quarterback in this draft. Some people will say Drake May. Some people will say Jaden Daniels. Some people even are that high on J.J. McCarthy. Some people might even like Bo Nix. But that's just how I feel about Michael Penix. I think he's the best quarterback and the second best prospect at quarterback in this draft. So I feel strongly about when I say I would take him at 6. And I understand people laugh at that, and that's fine. But the only thing that you can laugh about is the injuries. Everything else is made up BS. Respectfully, my opinion. But we really need to figure out why we're trying to hold on to this quarterback situation, mainly Daniel Jones. Why are we fighting so hard for Daniel Jones? I fell under the trap as well. I'm standing here on the other side of things looking at it like I can understand why people sometimes feel the way that they feel, but I don't understand the passion or the level of passion behind it. Because in all honesty, nobody has seen enough consistent, good quarterback play from Daniel Jones. Nobody has seen it. Nobody. Going into the 6th year, nobody has seen enough consistent, good quarterback play from Daniel Jones. We can say that we've seen the opposite. A lot of inconsistent play from Daniel Jones. So why are we fighting this so hard? Pause. Why are we fighting it? But we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Just wanted to get a quick vent out. A nice therapy session in regards to this quarterback position, a QB discussion. What are we doing? New York Giants fans, let me know in the comments down below. How do you feel about this situation? Let me know. Let me know. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.